I'm going to show you today is how to sow some turnips. Now, whether you're sowing turnips or Swedes, they need to be sown in exactly the same way. I have sown turnips before, but years and years ago, and I just haven't sown them since. I don't know why. Anyway, so I've got some here. They're called whiskey. There we go. So there are lots of different varieties out there that you can choose, and it's entirely up to you whether you want the small ones or whether you want ones that grow slightly larger. Now, usually they can be sown, the best time to sow them is March, April and May time, and it gives them plenty of time to grow whilst the weather is still a little bit cooler. But then when you can sow them in June, but by that time the weather can be getting quite hot and it can be too hot for little seedlings. So it's the middle of April now, so this is actually quite a good time to sow them. So let me show you how I sow my turnips. Okay, so what I've done is I've put a stick in this end and a stick in the other end, which is exactly where I want my line to start and end. If you want to make a line yourself, with a bit of string, then it's entirely up to you, whatever works best. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this soil over a little bit. If there are any weeds that you come across, then just make sure that you remove them. So I'll just do a little section, otherwise it will be a bit boring watching me do the whole thing. So I'm just going to dig down a little bit as well, because that way the roots will be able to get down into the soil a little bit easier. So this is lovely soil, it's quite sandy and the water flows through it quite well. So when you've dug your entire line, what you need to do is you need to make a little trough. So just using your trowel, just scoop out a little bit of the soil. The little trough needs to be about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch deep. If it's a little deeper, don't worry, but don't make it really, really deep. Now, when you've made your trough, what you then need to do is you need to water it like that. Now, wait for that water to soak all the way through, and then you can start sowing your turnip or your Swede seeds. Now, these are from the brassica family, so the seeds look very, very similar to that of a cabbage. So I will just tip some out into my hand and then we can have a closer look at them. Oops. So there they are. As I say, they're from the same family as cabbages, all the other brassicas. So they're little round balls. They're slightly smaller than cabbage and brucale and cauliflower and all that stuff. But even though they're slightly smaller, they're still roughly the same colour. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to sprinkle them along the trough. Now, use your thumb and your finger and just take a pinch, and you don't want these to be too close together. You want them to be quite spread apart, otherwise you're going to end up wasting a load if you have got a load growing too close together, because you'll have to prick them out and throw them away. So just have a couple together. The germination rate is usually fairly good. These seeds are a little on the older side, so they may well not germinate as well as if they were brand new seeds. They most probably won't actually, so I might actually put in just an extra few. Now, once you've sown your seeds, all you need to do is just to cover them over very carefully with a little bit of the soil that you took out. Any large lumps, just make sure that you break them down. Okay, because the leaves, when they grow up, they'll want to be able to push through this little bit of soil very easily. There we go. And once you've sown all your seeds, make sure that you label put a label at the end so that you know what they are. So I will carry on and continue doing the rest of my line, and when I've done everything, then I will come back to you. Well, that's my row of turnips in. If you are going to, I've just done one row, but if you're going to do more than one row, what I would suggest you do is to leave about 9 inches between each row. That way they've got enough room that they can grow and expand, and also you can get down and weed. Now hopefully they will start to pop through the soil in about 2 weeks maybe. We'll just have to see. So because I've watered the trough, I won't need to water them for a couple of days, but if you do have a heavy downpour, then on sort of the day before you're due to water, then you'll most probably not need to water. But the way to test is to put your finger in the soil and think how far down the seeds are, and if you put your finger down and it feels damp, then you don't need to water. If it feels dry, then you will need to water. So pop your finger in the soil. Well, I hope you are trying to grow turnips or Swedes this year, and I hope that you enjoy them and they grow absolutely fabulously for you. Well, I hope you found what I've shown you useful, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.